a question has been thrown up, and that is Cristiano Ronaldo, who of course turned the big 40 last week, and he made some interesting comments where he said that you mentioned Messi, Maradona, or Pele, but he reckons that he is the most complete footballer when you consider right foot, left foot, header, and he can jump. That's what he also said, and everything else that is the package of the footballer that has been Cristiano Ronaldo. He reckons he is the most complete footballer there ever has been. Do you agree with with this opinion of Cristiano Ronaldo?
Definitely agree. 100%. Because, and I say this because if you ever listen to the Messi Ronaldo debate, that's what you bring to the party. I mean, what else are you going to bring? Because you're like left foot, as he says, in the scoring charts with his weaker foot, he's there. With the right foot, the numbers are there. Heading wise, in the charts as well. The number of goals, heading ability is there as well. Athleticism, which is speed, jumping. I mean, obviously his speed has since left him, but he can still jump. So I think that's what you bring to the table if you want to crown him GOAT in terms of, well, what else would you want from a player? Put it on his left foot, he'll score. Put it on his right foot, his favorite foot, he'll most likely score even more. If that's the 90%, that's the 95%. Put it in the air, he'll head the ball. Lob it over, he'll beat the defender. So that's what you bring to the party in terms of most complete. I mean, we've seen players grace the pitch who are magical, right? Like Ozil, but heavily dependent on his left foot. There are rarely players where you're like, put on either side. Most likely will be the same result. So in terms of most complete, that's the argument that you bring if you want to say that he's the GOAT. There's no other argument because we know that Messi is the more naturally talented. He's the more magical player. But in terms of if you want to tick every box, that's your man.
You know what issue I've always taken with the assessment of Ronaldo is like when he mentions that he can jump, right? When you think of his athleticism, I mean, it is of course something that puts you over the top in terms of your competitors. I don't know if I always think like an athletic skill is necessarily the same thing as a football skill, which is something I personally not maybe considered all that greatly when I weigh it up in terms of what is a complete footballer. I think of specific football skills where it is passing, it is dribbling, it is shooting, right? So in that regard, do I think that Cristiano Ronaldo is the most complete footballer of all time? I think he's the most diverse goal scorer probably we've ever seen because the things that he's counting are things that have aided him in terms of goal scoring. Because when he's talking about his right foot and left foot, in my mind, he's talking about scoring, right? And when I think of him as a goal scorer, I think of the tap-ins. And I don't say that as people mock him for that because you go try tapping it in that many times. Or who's your favorite striker who's been able to be in that position and finish from those spots as often as he has? But then he's scoring that goal against Porto. You know, he's got that in his locker, and then he's got headers in his locker. You put it up into the box like Ronaldo can play as a traditional number 9, as they love it in over there in the British Isles, and he can also like hit the curlers. But that's as a goal scorer, right? When I think the most complete footballer, I don't know about all time, but in my mind, the player that always comes up is Wayne Rooney. Like when I think complete footballer, I always think of Wayne Rooney, and I wanna say Rooney is a more complete footballer than Cristiano Ronaldo. And so what I mean by that and why I say that, right, is if the question is not like who did it at a higher level, I don't think Wayne Rooney is a comparable goal scorer to Cristiano Ronaldo. But there are very few Cristiano Ronaldo goals, I'd say any, that Rooney could not perform. He could hit the ball, maybe not as great as Ronaldo, but he could shoot. He could be in the box and be a fox in the box and finish those goals. He can do overhead kicks. And then where I think he has the edge over Cristiano Ronaldo is if we are removing him from being a forward, Wayne Rooney could play in the middle, genuinely could play in the middle. Now, you wouldn't build a championship team around him as a midfielder, but there was a stretch there where Sir Alex Ferguson was reliant on Wayne Rooney to drop a little deeper, and he did not look out of place. He's a footballer. I feel like Wayne Rooney is a footballer who you can put him anywhere and he can do a very good job in those positions. I don't think you can do that as often and in as many positions with Cristiano Ronaldo, because the other side is Wayne Rooney could also defend. He's never played as a defender because he's that great going forward. But in terms of that side of the game as well, I think he can do that. Whereas you can't say the same thing of a Cristiano Ronaldo. This is not to say that Rooney is anywhere close to being a greater player than Ronaldo, but I think complete footballers, I think Wayne Rooney.
Interesting shout here, because if you use your metric, dribbling, I think that falls in Cristiano Ronaldo's favor. Shooting, that falls in his favor. Passing, obviously, Wayne Rooney wins that. But I think Ronaldo's passing is above average. And so I think you're not necessarily always taking 90th percentile, but if it's above most of your peers at that level, I think that describes it as complete, would you not say? Because they were in the same team together, and at some point, Alex Ferguson says, like, you feed this guy, you work for this guy, because we're going to get more from this guy. Do you not then think that
as
that
the
is
goal scorer? And that's what I think, right? And I think you can ask Rooney to vacate the position we saw him coming into the game as a striker, and you're not dropping him to the bench, but you are saying facilitate, because he can do that, right? And when you say Ronaldo's shooting is better than Rooney's, I don't think so. I don't think it's better. Again, like, I think when you look at volume of goals, when you look at production, I think it's easy to say, well, the ability to do this was greater in the one player, right? Or the skill was greater in the one player. But when I think of Rooney's goals, they are so diverse. Like, if I pick out examples, right? You think of the Newcastle Rockets. You think of Wayne Rooney in his Champions League debut. He's scoring a free kick. I can't really say that Ronaldo is head and shoulders a better free kick taker than Wayne Rooney. And as I'm saying, like, as a striker, Wayne Rooney could give you goals, and then everything else that he could give you as a footballer outside of the goals, I think there is clarity. There's distance. You say Ronaldo is not is above average as a passer, and I agree. I think Wayne Rooney is an immaculate passer of the football. I don't. You could not probably even name anyone who you consider as a forward who was better, like, with a pass, than Wayne Rooney. Was better than so many other midfielders as well in that regard. And as I'm saying, then there's the defensive side of the ball. I think about although that was in the MLS, that assist where he's tracking back and he puts in the slide tackle, and then he hits the diagonal 60 meters into the box, and they score from that. I can't see Ronaldo doing that. And
okay, I take that, and I think all of the from my side at least, all the comparisons, never to give any or to throw any slight or any shame towards Rooney, because he's been a good footballer. But in my mind here, when I think about that, is that when he was there with Ronaldo, so Alex Ferguson said, you drop deeper and facilitate his success, right? When I think about him dropping into midfield, never quite worked out for England. So what I'm trying to get at is that in the striking position, we're like, we found our Ronaldo, you work for him. In the midfield, there are better players. There's a Gerrard, there's a Lampard, so we don't quite need you there. So as complete as he was, he never quite fully took charge of any position, because there was someone else all the time in those particular positions where he is complete. So I don't know if that is something that doesn't necessarily make him complete, or is that a different argument altogether?